Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second: surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better read than death, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools, and our honored dead who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn they're spirits, not animals. And he said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Hey guys and gals, welcome back to the Logbook.
How y'all doing tonight?
My name is Kim and
I'm Dakota, and with us tonight we have Mama Sally. How's it going, Mama Sally?
Hello. Glad to be here.
It's been a while. Guys, we've had an amazing 2 weeks of actual lost. Tomorrow we are laying our army buddy to rest. We'd just like to give a shout out to Mr. Paul Guns, who is usually with us, especially on events like today. Please keep him in your prayers. His daughter passed away. And then my own dad had open heart surgery. So it's been a
whirlwind.
Been rough. Been indescribably rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, these hot temperatures is hurting a lot of people.
And true. And then on top of that, we've had a lot of trouble with being hacked recently by our government.
Mm-hmm.
So most of our Facebook pages posts have been taken down, which has been just tell them about it.
So we started our newest edition, Logbook Redacted. It's supposed to be just a fun-loving, just poke fun at the government type of show. Just something we can kick back, relax, something you can crack open a beer to. However, every show, we've done 2 shows, and both shows, our Logbook Facebook page has been taken down. It was the first show, every page it was taken down from, and we couldn't even get a word out edgewise. We had to restart the show 4 times. 4 times our very first show.
And there you go. We just lost Facebook yet again. While Dakota goes that and deals with that.
Yeah, I gotta love Meta.
Yeah. It
Right
is.
in that, right in the good old FBI's back pocket,
Mhm.
even though they have a judgment against using them to censor us. But unfortunately, they're going to the 8th District Court to try to get that last ruling overturned again.
Right. And, we've actually, it was in the Twitter files that came out,
Yeah.
and even Mark Zuckerberg admitted himself.
On Joe Rogan's show.
Yeah. And they're still back at it. They don't necessarily like what we have to say. And here's the thing. Most of the time, we're just showing the same things that CNN shows, but we're just still having our opinions, because when we seriously got hacked, we were actually showing a CNN report from 2009. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, they don't like for us to be waking up their little Democrats that are their mindless minions.
You're correct. You are correct.
And a lot of them are waking up, and I'm so glad they are finally seeing what we have seen all along.
We're going to go ahead and bring up the latest House Committee on Veterans Affairs hearing on technology, modernization, and economic hardship. Is that what it is?
Well, it's an oversight committee that's going on tonight. I do know that, guys, we're working, just getting, I see some of y'all popping up here. We are working to get our Facebook restored. And I know that in the past month, comments have been, or scenes have been a bit of a trial, but I have you all up here on my cell phone. So if y'all want to comment, we put them up on the screen right now, but we will be getting this fixed. But give you some announcements. The NDAAs have taken off and the House is voting. Be advised, with the National Defense Authorization Act, I know, even, I will get on to you Republicans, even. Y'all stupid as hell. Okay? Y'all need to be paying attention to the NDAA. Why? Because civil rights was pushed through the NDAAs first before it was pushed anywhere else. And y'all stupid as hell, just thinking that, oh, it's a military issue. And I know y'all stupid as hell, as many people as I freaking talk to every freaking week when talking about veteran legislation and talking about the NDAA. I have so many people saying, oh, well, that's military. Oh, well, I'm not going to sign that bill because military, that has to do with military, and I'm not a veteran. Bitches, if we sat there and pushed our own legislation as veterans, nothing would fucking get done. We need civilian support, and you civilians, get the fuck off your ass, call your congressmen, call your senators, and get shit done. All right, and I know you're not going in. I absolutely know it. I live in one of the top 5 cities in the U.S., and I've gone to senator's office and my congressman's office, and would you look at that? In the months in between of gaps of when I've gone in, my name, there's only 2 to 3 spaces in between my name. That's ridiculous. Get your fucking ass off Twitter. It's not an official complaint. Get your butts into your offices, because, and especially all you MAGA people, I'm going to go off on you for a sec. You MAGA people are the worst. You're sitting there saying, oh, let's make America great again. But you're using Trump to do that. Hello, you're just as valid and important. You need to make America again as well. Get up off your butts. Don't depend on one man to do it. He ain't Jesus Christ. He ain't your savior. Get up off your butts and make America great again yourself. Okay? That's the only way that it's going to happen. So with that, I guess we're going to go ahead and get into, or do you have anything else to say, Mama Sally? Because I just went off.
No. You pretty much covered it. I mean, everybody needs to get involved.
Yeah. And there's ways
you got to make an appearance.
You do. Email.
Put a name to the face.
Yeah. Email. Ask your boss to get off early. Go in on your lunch break. Go in there and actually talk to them. They're actually wanting to. They really want to hear from you. Okay,
And it
right?
don't and you start you just don't go to the top and then just hope it works. You start in your own communities and work your way up.
You know, I have my state rep for Texas, my state representative, he'll meet with me on the weekends. Have you ever asked that to meet your state rep on the weekends? They'll do it. If they're really
Shoot, have a damn barbecue and gather them all up. Free meal, free food. Let's go.
Yeah, they'll show.
Do something.
Your state reps will show up for 1 to 2 people. From 10 to 20 people. Grab your friends, grab your neighbors, and
potluck.
And invite your state rep over. They'll show up.
Oh yeah, they will. Yeah, they will. They actually have time set aside. For that.
Y'all just don't know it.
Anyway, we're ready to get into this.
Let's go ahead and get into this.
Economic opportunity and
Van Orden. I love him. He is my spirit animal.
As you've heard me say many times, these subcommittees are not bipartisan, they're nonpartisan. And I'm very proud of my Democrat colleagues and also my Republican colleagues to adhering to that. There's no room for that in this committee, and it will not be tolerated. Today, we've come together once again to look out for the interests of our veterans. Our veterans fought hard for this country, and we owe it to them to fight hard for their interests here in Congress. Today, our subcommittees come together to once again examine how we can work with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs to improve the lives of veterans through the digital GI Bill. Good afternoon, sir. The digital GI Bill is intended to streamline GI Bill claims processing by consolidating antiquated legacy IT systems and automating adjudication of most claims. Some of these systems are over 30 years old and must be modernized. Since our last hearing in July 2022, VA has quite a bit. There have been 5 releases of the software. More than half of the supplemental claims are now automated, and the enrollment manager system is now up and running. This is good news and shows a tremendous amount of progress. However, the digital GI Bill system that is being developed by VA and Accenture is partly the result of past IT failures. Other companies have attempted to modernize. The systems have failed, and the VA has wasted millions of dollars. We're here to ensure that this does not happen again. In March, I received a call from the Secretary about the digital GI Bill failing to process veterans' monthly housing allowance. The benefits delivery network initially failed to pay approximately 282,000 student veterans. While these issues were resolved nearly immediately, there are still 4,000 veterans that received late checks due to this mistake. This problem is reminiscent of 2018 when a similar failure resulted in thousands of students waiting weeks and months in some cases.
So Sally, what he's talking about is our benefits. Dakota, did you get your GI Bill?
I have not. I started school this summer, and June passed.
Well, I was just fixing to say, why don't you explain a little bit more about that digital GI? Because a lot of people that are not connected to the military will not understand what it is.
So what happened is a few years ago, and I will actually give it, Don Lemon actually stood up for veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, and it was again showing that the computer system wasn't up to date because it was 50 years old. So what did they do? VA do a couple years ago? Or shoot, I believe it was not even 2 years ago. Right before the pandemic, they redid it. And then 2 years later, people still aren't getting their housing allowance. So basically, when you join the military, you sign a contract, boom, you get school. But here's the thing, you get paid to go to school and everything. So they cover your housing so you can sit there and
focus on school. You can focus on school, not have to worry about your bills as much. And you can actually, work a part-time job and still have time to excel in your studies and get a better job once you're done with that.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, the BAH just doesn't cover enough. You're only getting what our BAH in school is only about $1,600 a month. That's not a free ride for school, guys. You
No, it's
still have
not.
to get a job and work. But the whole purpose of the GI Bill or the post 9/11 was to sit there and cover your food and housing so you could actually,
Yeah, be able to take care of yourself and not have to worry about necessities like, oh, I don't know, food,
right.
water.
So your job, your continuing job was school out of the military, but they don't pay. They don't pay for it.
They don't.
So, and on top of that, not paying for our school, they just aren't paying our housing at all. So we go to school, we go back to a part-time job, and we're expecting that pay to be there per their contract, a contract with us, the United States government and their contract with us. And then we don't get paid. And that's where we are this month.
Yeah. I have been waiting 2 months. 2 months for my housing allowance. So you think we're not struggling over here? We are. It's rough.
Yeah, and on top of that, because the VA is not even paying us. They're not even paying the colleges. So when he sat there and signed up for school, the first day they dropped his classes, the second day they dropped his classes, and then the third day they dropped their classes because the VA wouldn't promise to pay our benefits of school, even though we did all the right steps.
Right. And then I end up getting held back a week out of classes because here's the thing. I'm not allowed to drop classes when you use GI Bill benefits. You can't drop out at the day of record like most students can. Excuse me. So you have to stay in that class. So because the school's not paying your housing or anything like that, you basically have to take an F if you don't, grind it into gear. I was up for 4 days until 4, sometimes 6 in the morning, catching up on homework from the first summer semester.
You only had 2 weeks because it was a week that he missed his classes and the teachers work with him. And then it took a week to get his books and he had 2 weeks to do a 4-week course. How is that beneficial to veterans? How is that helping out mental health? How is that helping someone who actually has brain injuries? Can they do that? No, because they exactly did that to me in December. I signed up for classes. Then they didn't get it to me in time. They dropped me for 3 days. Then I had to re-enroll. All my classes were full. And I only needed like 3 classes to graduate, guys. Then so they changed it to where I was on mini-masters. Then on top of that, when I got to my mini-masters, I never got my books. And then the college got frustrated and they kicked me out of my normal college, which is right down the road, and kicked me to a college 2 hours away. And I couldn't go. But the thing is I couldn't drop my classes because of their mess up. But that's all my fault. And that's what's taken off is that this is becoming so complicated that we can't even use our school benefits. So guys, there's no point in joining the military if you want school right now, because you're not going to get it.
But yet they have money allotted in the budget for it.
Oh yeah, and it's going to be your fault. And therefore it's wasting money. I wonder, American people, if you would just wake up and realize and look into it, how much money, as you're struggling here, if you sat there and actually requested a full audit at the Department of Veteran Affairs and how much money is wasted, I'm telling you right now, over half the money is wasted in the Department of Veteran Affairs.
But yet they can't ever,
it gets spent on something because their budget never goes down. And in fact, it goes up every year. So it's getting spent, but it's not getting spent where it needs to be. It is grossly misappropriated. And
I tell you where it went. And I put it up on Facebook, guys. Y'all can check out it. I put it on earlier this week. $2.8 billion was scammed out of the Department of Veteran Affairs. That's where it went. And you know where it went? To supercars, to super yachts. That's where it's going.
Luxurious homes.
Yeah. And we're sitting here as veterans struggling to put food on the table. And here's the thing, since you pull a retirement, you can't get food stamps, or you pull a disability, you can't get food stamps. You
Nope.
can't get Section 8. You can't get any of that.
Can't get
But
HUD.
however, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, a hood rat can, an illegal can. You know, and here's the thing, I hear it all the day, all the damn time, from even conservatives, not you, Mama Sally, or anyone else on our network, because I know our network actually pays attention. I hear it all the time. We need to take care of our veterans before illegals. Well, bitch, get your fucking ass involved and learn what's going on with veterans. Give us a voice. But what you're doing is saying, oh, well, veterans need to speak up themselves. Man, they're in too much pain to even do that.
We're yelling. We're yelling out here.
Hell,
But-
we're setting ourselves on fire in
Yeah.
parking lots, and you didn't fucking pay attention. Ugh,
Yeah.
sorry, Sally. I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
It's been a rough week.
No, you're venting.
Yeah.
You're frustrated. You're trying to make a difference. But these chuckle-headed yutzes are not worried about the damn people who are trying to make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Well, no one likes to hear complaining. We like to hear proactive guys. So we are proactive on this. We do have some good legislation. If you want to know what legislation we're pushing, please contact us here on the logbook. Also, if you scroll up at the very top of the page, go up to Concerned Veterans for America and look at their action. There's a lot of good bills there. Just sign it. You know, sign what you agree with. Read it. You know, I will have to say I had some great news this week, Sally, too. I wanted to bring this up. Pete Sessions wrote me a letter. That's
Awesome.
Congressman Pete Sessions. And then I did get an autograph, and he was very, very,
He gave you an autograph.
yeah, I took a photo op with him. Yeah,
Okay.
I was in the picture with him. And he did give me a lot of bills to take to my legislator. And he is willing to help support my bills. And he's very active on hearing other things from the veteran community. And he said that he's willing to listen and to contact him anytime. So that's very good. So we veterans, we do have a friend in Congressman Pete Sessions. So why don't you give him
So
a call?
you don't feel that it's just lip service, right?
No, because if it's written down like that, you know, I can hold it against him. It's written.
Well, it's not like there anybody up there.
Oh, you there?
Oh,
We lost you.
hey, we lost you. Is it us or is it her?
I think it's Sally.
Yeah, it is Sally.
Yellow.
Okay, I got you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you at least. I think
Yeah,
we might be-
everything's buffering. Somebody's jacking with my phone.
Yeah, we're getting jacked with again over here
Mm-hmm.
on Truck It right now. I'm gonna go check that real quick. But yeah, it was a very positive letter, and I'll be posting it up on our Facebook page later. Nope, we're up on Truck It. Saying we're not, but so guys, if you leave a comment, let us know. I have you up on my phone here, and we'll see your comments as we come in. All right, so let's get this back up, and we'll add this back to the stream. And let's get back to this House Committee hearing.
Okay.
Time and time again, student veterans are being left in limbo because of the VA's failures, and that is completely unacceptable. Also in March, the new enrollment manager system went live. VA had insisted the launch in January at the beginning of the spring semester, despite an outpouring of concern from the schools about the problems that this would cause. That means you people are not listening. The subcommittee was eventually able to persuade the VA to listen to the boots on the ground and push the go live back, set off the demo, effect delays in the development of the system that no one has ever adequately explained. So I'm going to say this again, you are not listening. So you're trying to run things from Washington, D.C., and you're just not listening. And that's no way to run a railroad, and we're stopping that today. It's my understanding that the next digital GI Bill release has been stalled for several months as VA takes a step back to reevaluate the schedule and revise the cost estimates because of the enrollment manager release, jobs program. That's what you're running. We must get a handle on these delays, motivate you. It's not the VA, it's you, to keep this project on track. And up to this point, it's been like pulling teeth to figure out how much money has been spent. I think we got this, last night? You guys knew this hearing was coming a long time ago. We got this sheet last night. Okay, no.
And it's probably full of lies.
Junk. We need to figure out how much this is costing in a timely manner so we can make the appropriate decisions. And no one can tell us when the project's going to be final. That, again, is unacceptable. Can't even get an answer when you're going to do the next release. So we're here today to get these questions answered, and I want them answered. I don't want I'm going to get back to you later, and then we're going to send you a note, and my people will call you. I want the answers today, and if you're not willing or able to answer them, then you're incompetent.
Oh!
Wow.
I don't want to come to having to subpoena you, but we are in the majority, and I will do so because you are not serving our veterans appropriately for some reason, and I want to know what that reason is today. Now, as I said, we have a fantastic relationship together on this committee in a non-partisan manner. And today we are going to vote at 13:30. That's 1:30 for you civilians. And so we may have to briefly recess, but if you think we're not pushing this today, you are wrong.
He's talking about the NDAA.
So with that, I will yield to my friend and distinguished member of Congress, Mr. Levin, the ranking member of this subcommittee.
I thank my friend, Chairman Van Orden, thank Chairman Rosendale as well. I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with you guys on important legislation to help our veterans. Thank Ranking Member Trifflis McCormick as well for making this happen today. In November of 2019, I went to Muskogee, Oklahoma, and I wanted to go see why it was taking so long for progress to be made on how GI Bill benefits and other information was being processed, and went and had some really good barbecue as well in Muskogee. But what I saw with regard to GI Bill technology was frankly pretty shocking. I saw systems that were being held together with 40, 50-year-old technology. COBOL was being used in one of the systems, and frankly, it was miraculous that the
Thought he was going to
good
say
people
duct tape
there who
Bailamar.
were, working really hard, were able to make any of it work. But even really simple things like changing an address proved extraordinarily difficult when you had multiple systems running. And seeing systems that are decades old, barely being held together, really was deeply frustrating. And I remember the conversations I had back then about the money that would be needed in order to repair things and to get things up to some semblance of modern technology. And we largely have delivered on what was asked of us in the Congress. We've come through on those requests, bipartisan as well. This was from the Trump administration, now on through to the Biden administration. So it's so important that we get this right. These processors there in Muskogee, in a converted grocery store, are responsible for distributing nearly $12 billion annually in veteran education benefits. And this dysfunction has been really hard on VA staff, but also on student veterans, on educators, on school certifying officials.
Yes, Chad.
I was very pleased that in March of 2021, VA awarded the contract to Accenture to support the Digital GI Bill project to create a more user-friendly platform for students and institutions enrolled in VA educational assistance programs, as well as those administering those programs. And we have to unite all these legacy systems, scores of legacy systems, bringing together activities like payments, enrollments, oversight at higher functioning levels, at any functional level, to be honest with you. It's a multi-year effort, and it's planned to take place over many increments, and I understand that can be frustrating too, but there needs to be progress. That's the key. 1 year ago, our two subcommittees came together for an update on Accenture's work, and the takeaways were pretty positive. Improvements were being made, program increments were for the most part on schedule, and in preparation for today's hearing, we asked largely the same questions. The news is still relatively positive. This summer, VA through Accenture released something called Enrollment Manager, which replaced a legacy system called VA Once. This is designed to improve the user experience for school certifying officials, making it easier for them to access student records, make it easier and faster for institutions to exchange data and documents with VA. There are 6 more releases, is my understanding, planned through 2024.
Hey,
all
Sally,
designed.
here you go. I got a question for you. So it's supposed to make it user-friendly for colleges. But if we're sitting here, and this is where civilians come in and play, honestly, I don't think civilians should actually be having to deal with any of our shit.
No.
Because I want to know, can a person in college who is doing women's studies and CRT effectively work this program?
No, because right now, and this is my theory, just my theory, is that we have a bunch of people working in these computer systems that are part of the No Child Left Behind educational system who were not educated properly enough or have a work ethic properly enough to maintain and do what they're supposed to do.
Right. And I'm going to let y'all guys know. So a lot of these like certificate schools or these schools that give you like your journeyman license and things like that, the VA doesn't consider them accredited schools.
No, they do not. They do not.
It's not like we could go to them. So we have somebody, and it's going to be somebody because we don't play pronouns here. We're going to have cousin it sit there.
Oh, hell, cousin it would be better.
Yeah. Someone
Larch.
who studies underwater basket weaving in charge of our VA benefits.
Oh, that would be Larch.
Yeah.
Even that would be smarter than women.
I'll say this: Muskogee, Oklahoma has changed a lot since Merle Haggard's day because they're smoking a lot of marijuana in Muskogee right now.
Yeah, there is at least 4, and I know for a fact there's at least 4 marijuana stores on every block.
We don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee.
Nope. They smoke straight up weed.
You
Want to continue on?
Let's continue on.
That's right.
I just had to bring that up, Sally. You were thinking it too, weren't you?
I'll bring
That No Child Left Behind education system.
Yeah.
We're all fucked.
But No Child Left Behind equals veterans left behind, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's left behind.
Make the experience better for the employees and for the veterans alike. There is absolutely a need to review the digital GI Bill contract and the upcoming release timelines to ensure both VA and Accenture are on the same page for the releases. Here's the deal. Congress can pass all the laws that we want to pass. If we want to truly strengthen these benefits, if we want to truly make this system work the way it's supposed to work, we've got to make sure VA has the capacity to efficiently deliver those benefits. And if we don't do that, we're just missing the point, and we're failing the veterans that we're serving and the families that we're serving. So I think we're all committed here to doing everything that we can collectively to make sure that's the case, to make sure that you guys are on track, and we're going to do all we can to hold you accountable to that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll yield back.
Thank you, sir.
Sally, do you think they're actually doing all they can? Are you convinced from Mr. Levin there that they're doing all they can?
No, absolutely not. Because I know when I was in college and I was getting my office systems technology training, I had to be certified in everything. I had to be able to amply work it. But he's talking about systems that they don't even teach anymore because they're considered outdated. And the systems that they're trying to upgrade to, they don't even teach in school because they don't know anything about them.
Yeah. So it's basically you have someone that is an IT with a good college education, and you actually have a co-host that's on your show on Truck It that is a fantastic IT.
Yes, he
That
is.
honestly,
Mr. Chad.
yes, Chad Candy. I bet you if we put Chad Candy in there, he'd get the VA up to shape like that. But the thing is that I could honestly see that because Chad has opened up a lot of my eyes with the IT system, is that these things are so old, so decrepit, that by the time someone graduates from even, let's say, a trade school, that they would, if they graduated from a trade school, the stuff that they would work on in the VA is already obsolete. They would have to go backwards, and they don't even know that stuff. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, is because they're working off of a DOS 1982 or 84 version where everybody else is up on the Windows and Millennium side.
Yeah.
So there's a huge, huge gap in the systems, and it is virtually impossible for somebody in our current educational system that's working on a Windows Millennium or a Windows 10 to go back and work on a Mac.
Chad said that's why you have legacy workers working with VA and government system too. Dude, I know they're legacy workers. I mean, Chad, you've joined us on some of our stuff, and you saw how gray head those legacies were. Let me tell you. Jeez. I mean, there's
like I said, I mean, they're working on a DOS 84 Windows system. And that is just like enter prompt, enter prompt, enter prompt, enter prompt, enter prompt. And if you don't put the right prompt in, you're...
Okay, guys, I got to level with you. Everyone sits there and sees all these movies and these high-end computers and everything. And I remember sitting there and looking at a Windows 95. And it was 2010.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I saw that shit. So the
And
movie...
they're still using them, though. They're still using them.
Oh, no, we got them upgraded finally. But...
Well, not all of them. But yeah, I mean, there's a huge difference in the technologies, but if you don't have the programming and the training to bring the people in the office up to speed, it's virtually useless.
Well, I think I have this theory that's going on. So you have, as Chad said, these legacy workers that are in there. If they're that smart, they are going to leave the VA and they're going to get better paying jobs elsewhere.
Yeah. That's sort of like the nursing staff and the doctors.
Yep. And the ones that have misconduct are going to be the ones that saying, and I guarantee you, Van Orden is going to show that here because he's just on a rampage. So we're going to go ahead and keep on going. Or as
get that one rolling. I want to hear him light some fire under somebody's ass.
Yeah, we're going to keep on trucking it.
That's it.
I'd now like to yield to the the TM Subcommittee Chair, Mr. Rosedale. There you are. How you doing, pal? All right?
Oh, this should be
Thank you very much.
interesting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The GI Bill is one of the most successful government programs in history.
I love
Educational benefits in the GI Bill are often credited with helping create the American middle class of the 20th century. Not only that, it's rare a government program that has consistently generated hundreds of billions of economic growth for tens of billions of dollars spent, decade after decade. Congress took big steps to enhance the program with the post 9/11 GI Bill and the Forever GI Bill. Now it's critical that we modernize how it operates with the digital GI Bill.
Ooh.
It's hard to believe just how antiquated and complex.
I got to address Chad's comments here. You are very correct, sir. When we do not update our, even they were talking about this in the Armed Service Committee. If we do not update our computers, they are vulnerable to hacking. We have enemies out there. Heck, my stuff has been sold in the VA to China, to Germany. I get letters all the time and I know my stuff has been hacked because they let me know. So I get it. I get it. Well, Chad, when I was talking about Windows 1995, this was 13 years ago when they had it. So, I don't think it's in there today, but yeah, you're very right. Oh, let's get back in. Hey, once Dakota's back.
Hey.
Complicated the information technology systems are that the VA staff use to process GI Bill applications. As we have seen many times, these IT systems are impeding service delivery to our veterans rather than improving it. The Digital GI Bill project began in 2021, and a year ago, the effort was making rapid progress. It was releasing new functionality every few months, boosting automation, and starting to phase out legacy systems. DGIB is one of the most successful examples of implementing a system as a managed service. It was also the lowest cost of all the VA's major IT modernization programs. This was an encouraging contrast to the expensive failures we've been seeing elsewhere. Unfortunately, that progress has stalled. Since the fifth DGIB release earlier this year, the VA has been stuck in an opaque process to revise its schedule and reshuffle the subsequent releases. There's still no date for the sixth release as the months slip by. And unfortunately, explanations from the VA and the contractors have been convoluted and contradictory. We're seeing everybody at this table pointing fingers at each other. That's the expectation that I have today, and that's what we're going to try to sort that spaghetti out. We have to get a digital GI Bill back on track. The most difficult and important milestones for the project are yet to come. We need to know what percentage of original claims the system will be able to automate. We also need to know whether Accenture will be able to retire the benefits delivery network. And VA and contractors still need to demonstrate whether the managed service is less expensive to operate than the hodgepodge of legacy systems. Finally, we need to know how much DGIB will ultimately cost. MITRE's initial 10-year estimate was between $1.3 and $1.9 billion. We've heard of a window, of range of costs. That is an enormous window. Getting any information about costs since then has been extremely difficult. All we know is that the cost estimate seems to be moving in the wrong direction. I'm pleased to see the digital GI Bill has accomplished more in 2 years than any other VA IT project that I have seen. But today it's stumbling, and I believe the concept remains sound. But
It ain't stumbling, it's falling flat of its face.
We expect better. I want to thank our witnesses for appearing today to give veterans and taxpayers an update on this important program. I look forward to finding out some of these answers so the digital GI Bill can move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will now yield to the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Technology and Modernization, the wonderful friend of mine, Ms. Phyllis McCormick.
Thank you, Chairman Van Orden, and thank you, Chairman Rosendale, for holding this hearing. And thank you to all our witnesses for being here today. We have a lot of ground to cover and a lot of opening comments to hear, so I'll keep my remarks short. GI Bill education benefits are a key recruiting tool for our military, especially at a time when the
And he
Department
does
of
not
Defense
like
is
Miss
struggling
McCormick.
to
She's
meet
an
goals.
idiot.
It is
She
in our
did go and
nation's
get
interest
women's
that we
studies.
ensure that this benefit continues to be an incentive to military service by ensuring the program's future stability. GI Bill benefits are also crucial to easing service members' transition out of the military and into private sector jobs that support the veterans and their families upon completion of their service. While the
Man, she
GI
talking
Bill
like
has been a
everyone's
prime
stupid and don't know
example
that.
of a successful benefit program for decades, it has historically been frustratingly slow to apply for and receive. The old paper process left veterans waiting weeks and months for approval to start classes, frequently making them miss registration deadlines and postponing their start of their education.
All right, hold it right there.
Hold it right there. Yeah, hold it right there. That's
Hold it
exactly
right
what y'all have been going
Weeks-
through.
Weeks and months. When I first moved to Houston, I tried attending University of Houston, U of H.
Me
here.
too.
Yeah. I got kicked back, 5 semesters? So yeah, we tried for 3 years to get into U of H. Money's there. It's paid for. It's not a question of whether or not we're academically sound or not. The money is there. But U of H still keeps us on the roster so that they get the money for having veterans in their schools.
I'm going to bring up a point here because Chad just got me riled. Chad, you just got me riled, and you know you did. Chad, you are so fucking right. I have dick and balls in my fucking women's clinic sitting there getting an OBGY appointment, and they did that faster in 2 freaking years than us getting into school. Just saying. So I guarantee you, government, I'm going to just say it this way. Obviously, you're transphobic and homophobic because, frankly, even gays can't get into school. Now move your ass and get it done next week. That's exactly what it's going to take. If you play identity politics, it gets done.
You can tell an OBGYN to, play doctor.
I got a Marine friend of mine, and it had to deal with child support, right? And the state of California wouldn't hear him because he was a man, and he actually changed his sex, and he's still a man, so that they would hear him. And the Marine Corps just went, oh shit. And that's what you have to do. Sometimes you have to make fun of
You have to play
shit.
dirty pool to get the government's attention.
It's hilarious. I mean, it's like, and the thing is they're like, well, you can't do that. Well, you see how stupid you sound? You'll sit there and give stuff for someone who says they're a woman. I'm just playing the game. I'm obviously a woman.
I would have loved to been a fly on the wall for that hearing.
Dude,
Oh,
I remember when he...
Them children came out my lady balls.
I guarantee we would have said shit like that. Bobby is absolutely inappropriate.
My little lady giblets.
Dude, I remember he put on his track. You had this big swole ass Marine putting on his track suit.
His track suit from 8th grade.
Lord have mercy.
Oh man,
I saw everything.
Mm-hmm. Talk about your Thanksgiving giblets now.
Giblet gravy is where it's at.
Oh, you dirty woman, Mama Sally. What is wrong with you? There are children watching this, maybe. But
I
doubt it.
Definitely not for kids.
They're playing Dungeons and Dragons or whatever it is.
What's wrong with that?
Fortnite.
Oh yeah, there's something absolutely wrong with that. Let's get going.
To hear that this is improving, but it seems we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
VA's recent efforts to modernize the system used by managed education benefits have been a shining example of how IT modernization should happen. So much so, it's left us wondering why Education Services is able to do this and other parts of the VA cannot. Is there a way that we can share the lessons learned from this program with the rest of VA to improve the implementation of IT systems across the organization?
Chad's on one tonight.
It's not often that the Technology Modernization Subcommittee gets the opportunity to hear from an IT modernization program that seems to be going well, but we're starting to hear about delays with the implementation. I hope to hear today how VA plans to overcome these roadblocks and push the program forward.
My dirt star.
We cannot allow this program to go the way of other IT modernization efforts. I look forward to today's conversation, and I yield back.
Hey, Chad, add dirt
I'd
star.
like to introduce our witness
vocabulary.
panel. Our first
New one
witness
from
is Mr.
Buffalo.
Joseph Garcia, the Executive
We
Director of
learned that
Education
today.
Services at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Mr. Garcia is accompanied
That was
by
still
Mr.
better
Robert.
learning
I'm
than
gonna
college.
slaughter your name, sir, please.
Orifice.
Orifice?
Orifice.
Orifice. Okay.
Oh, it's Mr. Orifice back.
I want to pay you the appropriate amount of respect by pronouncing your name properly, Mr. Orifice. The
I like
Benefits and
Orifice.
Memorial Service Portfolio Director. Our second witness
I'll just call him
is Mr.
Dirt
Troy
Star.
Miller, Senior Advisor
There you
and Department
go.
Head at MITRE MITRE, and is accompanied by Mr. Dave Powner, Center for Data-Driven Policy at the same company. Our third witness is Mr. Kyle Mitchell. Michael?
Michael, sir.
Okay, this is not working out today. I apologize, man. I was much better at this, Mr. Michael, because we met the
It's the
other day.
bifocals.
Digital
Dude.
GI, Bill, Senior Delivery and Chief Innovation
I
Officer.
don't think they're
at
worried
Accenture
about
Federal
that.
Services. Please stand and raise
Their
your right hands.
giblets are shaking.
I think he hangs out. I think he hang out with Wesley Hunt a little too much because he's losing his ability
Do you
to read.
solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very well. Thank you, and let the record reflect that the witnesses have answered in the affirmative. Mr. Garcia, you are now recognized for 5 minutes. Just to be super clear, I mean, some of you have been here before. That clock is 5 minutes. That's exactly as long as you'll be talking. Same thing up here. So you are now recognized for 5 minutes to deliver your testimony.
Booyah! Get it.
Hey,
Good afternoon, Chairman Van Orden, Chairman Rosendale, Ranking Members Levin, Sheriff Liz McCormick, and other members of the subcommittees. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the Digital GI Bill program and the continued system improvements and upgrades. Joining me today is Robert Orifice from VA's Office of Information and Technology. To ensure VA
Elmer
effectively serves
Fudd.
veterans and their families seeking to use their GI Bill benefits, VA is modernizing the GI Bill's IT platform to deliver benefits faster and enhance customer experience. In 2021, VA awarded a managed service contract to Accenture Federal Services to develop the DGIB. This enterprise service platform gives GI Bill students the ability to engage with VA and their earned benefits through electronic outreach, intake, and enhanced communication tools. Since inception, VA has deployed numerous major releases. In just 6 months, VA marked its first major milestone by deploying the processing of post-9/11 GI Bill claims into the managed service. The managed service allows for agile decision-making in a single managed platform that grows as VA needs and responds to changes in technology through continuous end-to-end updates. For the first time since the inception of the GI Bill program, applicants will receive a same-day education benefits eligibility decision. DGIB now provides veterans the ability to download and view digital copies of their certificate of eligibility, no longer waiting up for 5 days for a paper copy. We contacted the first veteran who used the automated system. This veteran expressed that she appreciates the efforts VA has made to ease the process for veterans. She told friends who were getting out how easy the process was to apply for the post-9/11 GI Bill and encouraged them to apply for classes. She hopes that more veterans will utilize this benefit in the future. Her thoughts validate the goal of the Digital GI Bill program. Better support for veterans pursuing their educational goals, modernize the tools for them, and those that support the veterans. The most recent major release in March 2023, VA deployed Enrollment Manager to help school certifying officials, SCOs, submit enrollments faster. In only 4 months, VA surpassed 1.4 million enrollment certifications. Over 15,000 SCOs from over 11,000 institutions are now using Enrollment Manager. One school certifying official shared with me personally that Enrollment Manager does not have the same constraints as a legacy system. Before, an SCO had to wait a day to make changes to a certification to make sure certification did not get processed out of order. But now SCOs can finish a task in a couple of minutes that previously would have taken multiple days. Enrollment Manager speeds up the certification process, which in turn allows SCOs to have more time with their veteran students. Implementing a managed service and improving automation involves integrating numerous complex IT systems and decommissioning decades-old legacy systems. VA acknowledges several challenges during this transition, such as the March 2023 issue with monthly housing allowance payments. Although electronic funds transfer payments were received on the same day, there were lessons learned and lessons applied, including enhanced monitoring and reporting. We also started a managed services assessment to develop a comprehensive risk matrix to ensure mitigation needs and promote best practices across the business lines. VA is committed to ensuring the continuous improvement of the DGIB program, as well as effective stewardship of taxpayer resources. VA is working with AFS on a bilateral modification to the current contract to meet emerging requirements, clarify testing capabilities, and to add additional integrations to other VA systems. Chairman and ranking members, VA has made tremendous strides in the administration of education benefits and appreciates support of Congress as we work through the challenges and continue our efforts to modernize educational assistance programs. This concludes my testimony. My colleague and I look forward to answering any questions the committee may have.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. The written statement.
Ba-dee-ba-dee-ba-dee. That's all, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mueller, you're now recognized for 5 minutes to deliver your testimony.
Chairman Van Orden, Rosendale, Ranking Members Sheriff Liz McCormick, Levin, and other members of the subcommittees.
Oh, God, just get on with it.
Today, Department of Veterans
Yeah, let's just get through this.
GI
Let's
Bill
just get to the
program.
question.
Yeah, let's get to the
because I don't
Successful
question.
know.
modernization of IT
They're just gonna
is critical to
be
improving the
speaking
benefit.
out of their dark star.
I'm sorry, I will never forget the first one. I will forever remember him as Elmer T. Bud Garcia.
Oh yeah, well we're gonna go right out of that and through recess, and then we're at what 137:44.
Yeah. I don't like these bureaucrats. I mean, it's just
I mean,
they're filibustering.
that's all they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say is abidi, that's all, folks.
Yep. And it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
All right, we're ready to go.
We're up.
Yep.
Here we go.
Subcommittee will come to order.
Ooh. He got
We're going to
relaxed.
proceed to questions, and I'm going to ask members and witnesses to respect the 5-minute rule. We talked about that earlier, so I'm not asking anymore. I'm telling you.
You ever see your
I'll hold
dad take
myself
his shirt
accountable
off
at the
right
same
before he beat
timeline.
your ass? I saw mine do that. That's what that reminds me of.
Oh,
And I
no.
recognize
I'm
He
so
myself.
needs that
faster
full range of
there.
motion.
Clock is started. Mr. Garcia, can you give us a date when the digital GI Bill project will
Does he know
resume,
you that well?
and when the release 6 is
I
scheduled?
like that too.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question. So we are going
bring
through a
Bud Light.
contract modification with AFS.
Mr. Garcia, I'm going to be short with you,
Yes, sir.
and I expect you to be short with me. I asked you for a date, not a process. So got this thing, it's called a calendar. And I want you to be able to put your finger on it. Give me a date. Can you do that?
Sir,
No.
yes, the release 6 is Empower. That's the next major release. That's the financial system update within
Mr.
BDN.
Garcia, that is a process, not a date. I'm asking you a very clear question. What date? Put your finger on a calendar and let's stop this buffoonery.
Summer of 24 for release 6.
Okay, that is a season, not a date, Mr. Garcia. What is the date that this will be released?
I can't give you a date beyond that.
Okay, that is unacceptable. Mr. Garcia, do you read the
Incompetent.
newspaper? Do you read the newspaper?
Yes, sir, every day.
Okay. Do you remember that article that came out that said Visa went out of business?
He's not talking about the funnies.
Because you didn't read it, because it didn't happen. It didn't happen because Visa is a company and it is predicated on merit. So if Visa all of a sudden couldn't process over 200,000 of their bills, and then eventually, what, 4,000 at some point? What would happen to the person that was responsible at Visa in about, I
They
don't know,
would be
6
fired.
minutes? What would happen to that person, Mr. Garcia? Could you posit it? They would
Nope.
be fired.
Hey,
They'd
I
be
was
kicked
right.
to the curb because they weren't serving their customers. And you use that word when you're speaking about my fellow veterans. You call them customers. So the person at Visa, if they failed objectively, like you have, because it's not the VA, man, you're the VA. It says it right there. If they failed like that, they would be
Read the
fired.
sign.
Why are you still getting a paycheck? Can you answer that question, Mr. Garcia?
I want to see his
Should you
face.
be held to the same standard as a civilian company that is processing things that you buy at Walmart when you're talking about the lives of veterans?
Because
I've
he's
gone
a
through every
patsy.
single education program that you have, Mr. Mueller. All of them. So you, Mr. Garcia, need to justify to us why you are getting a paycheck.
And us. Yes.
Can you do that, sir?
Nope.
Yes, sir, I'd like to do that.
Hit it. You got,
Oh.
I'm going to give you 50 seconds. I want 1 minute to close. Hit it. You're on.
Sir, I started on 1 August of 2022.
Okay.
BRAP
Oh, he's a Biden
was
boy.
at 54% obligation in August of 22. Through my efforts, Mr. Levin can recognize this. By December, when the program ended, it was at 99%. I don't call that failure, sir. I call that supporting the veterans. If I was a student veteran, I wouldn't be here with the GI Bill. 8 years enlisted time, got out, finished
Ooh, he
my
got
program
mad.
using the GI Bill. Customers are important to me. Higher ed, I was in higher 10 years before I came to this position. I know SCOs, sir. I listened to them. The successful rollout enrollment manager, because I put a priority on it. I know the SCOs. They used to work for me. I listened to them, as I listened to veterans as well.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Here's the
Elmer
problem.
Fudd has spoke.
Are you confident, Mr. Garcia? Can you please
Get that
tell me
poor man a
again
sweat rag.
what percentage of original claims you have automated last month?
Sir,
I
varies
don't
by
know.
date.
Percentage
day.
of claims you have automated last month. Can you answer that question, sir?
In the 15 to 20% range, because it varies by day.
Okay, that's a 20% variance, and that's unacceptable, Mr. Garcia. So you have to understand that the reason that these things aren't working is because we have the VA, which is a group and agency, and we have processes. We don't have people. That doesn't fly. Mr. Garcia, I'm holding you personally accountable for this. Personally accountable for this. And I want to say one more thing, and my time has expired. I'll get you in the second round. I yield back, and I now recognize the ranking member, Mr. Levin, for 5 minutes.
Thank the chairman.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Have you ever seen that? I want a date. I want a time. I ain't seen that.
First I've seen it. Oh my goodness.
Can you tell he was getting upset because the
Oh, he
Lord
is
said he got
red.
it? He was red.
Oh my good, he was red. I've never seen him that mad.
He wasn't that red in the first section.
You saw Mr. Garcia get so fucking butthurt.
Oh yeah, he did.
He was feeling it in his dirt start.
Yeah, but I
Davis.
did figure out Mr. Garcia,
That is
the
a
reason he got
tight,
his
tight
job
dirt
because Joe
start.
Biden thought he looked like Elmer Fudd too.
They should put wire. Hold on.
Put wires in their chairs and shock them every time they can't answer.
Yes.
Man, more people would be watching this if they did that.
Millions of people watching then they would see who got their ass lit up.
oh, and we can have raffles, and whoever wins gets to press the
I
button.
could see this being like the new veteran drinking game.
We won't survive.
We would no,
There'll be a few Marines left.
probably.
Oh God.
I can drink a Marine under the table.
Sally, I am going to get a Marine on here, and I want to see that happen. I want to see it happen. No balls. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Marine Corps veteran v. Mama Sally.
Oh my god.
Shot for shot.
There you go.
I don't watch that. I am impressed. I'm glad that someone's in there in Congress not playing games. Like, I am seriously going to call my congressman and say, hey, we need more Van Orden, and I need you to be it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of him, actually. I really am proud of him.
I am. I am so
Okay,
happy.
but Elmer Fudd, is kind of questionable.
Yep, definitely. And he pretty said, I'm holding you accountable. Because this is what's different about this community. So the other communities were just getting information. This is an oversight hearing. Okay, this is subpoena power. This is, okay, you're fucking in trouble. So, hold on, what did Chad say?
Yeah, he's telling me you don't want to hear no BS, right?
Exactly. All right.
All right, let's throw it back on.
Throw
up.
it back on.
See what.
Yeah, let's see what the rest of them have to say.
Woo, I'm excited.
Levin, yeah.
And I'd like to associate myself with the chairman's request
you guys
for a
ass beating. I'm
specific
going to put some baby powder on it.
timeline. And in fact, in
Baby
my
powder.
open, I had mentioned, I think, 6 additional releases.
Atlanta
So
King
I see,
Levin. That's what we're going to call him.
in the majority's timeline here, release 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there's a 10, 11, and a 12. It would be very helpful to us. And I appreciate all the work, obviously, that you're doing. But it would be very helpful to us to be able to put specific dates against those releases, and then to be able to measure over time and make sure that those dates are being hit. wanted to follow up also on the chairman's question about automation. And in your testimony, I saw a current percentage of 57.38. How do you explain that it's not higher than that after the time that you've had? Why, and how are we going to get from 57.38 to 70, 80, 90? What do you need to make that happen?
They were working from
When
home.
the program started, we were at around the 35, 37% range. So we are pushing 60%, so that's an increase of 25%. One of the things that we're working on, for example, is with DOD on the system called Vader. It's what comes over from the Pentagon into our system. And we've been having good progress meetings lately over the last several months to make sure those payments, that information that comes over is accurate.
Did he
We wanna
say
put in
Vader?
an automated system, inaccurate information that creates
That's not
inaccurate
ominous
payments,
at all.
right? So the off-ramping that occurs from automation is when the data is not accurate coming in. So
Can
we're
I-
making progress with DOD.
I appreciate that. And unfortunately, we have limited time. Can I get your commitment that you will give us a date certain, or at least an estimated date certain of when we
Put
can
a Band-Aid on that
get
butt
to,
hurt. There you go, Levin.
hit 70, 80, 90, 100%?
Laticane Levin.
Laticane
that-
Levin.
That table?
So we progress,
That's pretty simple, yes or no?
we're committed to higher automation and originals and supplementals. Yes, sir.
So you can't give us a specific timetable on when
Of
you're going to be able
course
to
he
hit those
can't.
higher
He's
numbers?
working
Or
with
depends
a
on the
bunch
off-ramping.
of dumbasses.
Can you give us a specific timeline that fills in some of the blanks of this chart when you're going to hit release 6, 7, 8, 9, and so forth?
Sir, it does depend on the contract modification. We got to get through that, and that. in
That
turn
means
would set
everybody
the new
has to show up
schedule,
and work
but
and work.
We can say release 6 is in the summer timeframe.
So I'm trying to work with you here. I think it would be very helpful to everybody on this committee if you would at least commit to giving us some specifics with regard to dates and times as it pertains
means
to
everybody has
releases
to
and as
show up for
pertains to the
work.
automation framework. Can you commit to that?
And the best that I can, sir.
Okay, well, our staff will be following up with yours, but I think it really would be helpful for us to understand how these investments are being implemented and how, these metrics are being achieved.
Sir.
In March, hundreds of thousands of veterans were at risk of not receiving their housing payments due to a processing failure tied to Digital GI Bill Release 5. Mr. Garcia, I'll start with you, and I want to give time for Mr. Michael as well. What steps are you now taking in light of that failure to ensure that future releases don't cause similar unforeseen errors?
Yes, sir. There was a dependency that was created for the BDN system to be online, and the system did not catch the dependency when that occurred. The system just froze. The payment queue did not go forward. We immediately responded to that. Payments did go out for 278,000 EFT recipients. 4,000 paper checks went out the next day. We fixed that problem with AFS. We now have robust monitoring that occurs every month. I get
Then where is our
daily inputs that
paycheck
last
bitch?
week that tracks across the cycles, payment queue, payment run, and we have full confidence that that won't happen again.
That's good to hear. Mr. Michael, anything you'd like to add?
I would say we certainly recognize that there was an issue there and worked together quickly to make sure that we got payments out that very same day and payments out overall in the time frame which typically go out. And with regards to making sure that this doesn't occur in the future, we have certainly put a number of processes in place to look at functional counts and share that with a broader stakeholder community to make sure that we have full and complete visibility to any issues that may occur and make sure that we have the opportunity to address the issues as they arise.
I appreciate that, and that's certainly all on the record now, so we're going to hold you to it. And again, as I said at the outset, I think there were so many problems with GI Bill technology, and it's encouraging to hear of your progress, but help us say nice things about your work by providing us with specific dates, specific progress that you're making, and I think that'd go a long way, and I'll yield back.
Thank you, Ranking Member Levin. I now recognize Mr. Mervan from Indiana for 5 minutes, sir.
Mr. Garcia, considering the VA's history of budget overrun,
Mr. Minivan is up.
what concrete actions are being taken to prevent excessive spending and ensure that the digital GI Bill modernization efforts stay within budget?
Hey, it's Lurch.
Say 2 quick points. The governance structure that we have has become more robust over time. We have the right leadership in place for the executive steering committee, for example. On a day-to-day basis, we have program governance that I help lead with my partners at this table. So governance has been improved. We're also standing up or increasing the project management office that works directly for me. It's been in place, but we're adding more FTEs and more capability to it, partnering with MITRE at the table as well. So I think improved
Passing that
governance,
buck.
PMO office that helps with that program oversight, including the budget part of it, is how we're doing that.
One of the pieces of legislations that I have proposed is an acquisition review board that would allow for the ability to look at projects as they are being enacted, as they are being instituted. What is your opinion of that?
So what was the term called again?
Your back door's
Acquisition
open.
Review Board.
Oh, the ERB.
Yep.
Let the dogs out.
Sure, I think that's a good idea if it adds to governance. I defer to some of my partners.
Yes, more bureaucracy.
Pass that
You
buck.
can stop there. I just wanted to know what your opinion was. With
That
that,
works,
I'll yield
Mr.
back.
Van. Mr. Minivan.
Mr. Van. He is Mr.
Thank you,
Van.
sir. I appreciate it greatly, and I recognize Ms. Sherfilis Ramirez, or McCormick, sorry. Oh, my gosh. I was thinking, you will, I'm sorry, McCormick for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. This question is for Mr. Orifisi.
He's having a no-name tape kind
For
of
the most
Mr.
part,
day.
modernization of the digital GI Bill system has
Mr.
been seamless
Dirtster.
and has avoided the pitfalls that VA's other IT modernization efforts have faced. What are some of the lessons learned from these efforts?
So thank you for that question, Ranking Member. I've actually come
Sir.
up in the
Sir?
education program
Sir?
side from
He don't even know what a woman is.
successes that we're having here. And so I've got some
She
good
might not
experience in the
identify as
of
one.
IT and successful programs. We've had a very collaborative environment between education services.
Chad didn't
OIT,
like
and
this
our
guy
vendors
either.
that lets us communicate very regularly in
Hi,
terms of
Kimberly.
what work needs to be done, what the risks and issues are, and really be able to collaborate closely in terms of what progress needs to be made and what actions need to be taken. And I think a large part of the success in the education space has been that close collaboration between the business, IT, and the vendors to make things successful.
And how can the VA transfer best practices and lessons learned from the modernization effort and duplicate success in other VA programs?
Get rid of the VA.
Also a very good question. I am now in a larger role than I have been previously going
Privatize
through
it.
this, and we are looking at the lessons learned and how we've done and been able to achieve the successes within this program, and looking to see what we can then apply to the other areas within the benefits portfolio. We are also work very closely with our CIO on a regular basis with this program, and he has
See, she's
very
trying to
close
help them.
oversight of what we're doing here to apply those lessons more broadly across OIT.
Just call him
The committee
Mr.
has
Oral
heard from
PCs.
numerous witnesses on the issues and
Everything that comes out of his
incompatibilities
mouth
between
is
VA and
shit.
DoD systems. What are the largest
Mark
challenges
Zuckerberg
in
Sr.
integrating DoD and VA systems?
So I will start that question, and I will turn that over to Joe.
Yeah. Looks like
Oh, I'll
Zuckerberg
start it,
with-
but I
One of the
can't fix
challenges
it.
That we have is that
He looks
there's
like
some
Zuckerberg
very
with a
specific,
pulse. Yeah.
qualities around, especially training data and around some of the collection of
Zuckerberg with
uh,
the
data from all the branches of service as we look to
a non-receding hairline and a
automate the
facial
claims
hair.
process. And as we get into the collection of this data and making sure that we're having the quality data there, we've
How
had
many
to work
fuckers
with
practice
the data groups
adrenochrome,
on
I'm
the DoD
wondering?
side, and they've been very collaborative with us in correcting and working with us to bring this data across. But it's really been making sure that we collect all the data that's needed to be able to disqualify training periods and other type of information like that to make sure that those claims move forward. And Mr. Garcia.
Ma'am, that again is a very good question because the data comes over from DOD and it enters our system. So we've had great progress working with our partners. We had a meeting with them where we specifically identified the quick wins that we could get. A lot of it is guard reserve time, service academies, how they have their obligations set up. So we were very clear on what we needed, and our counterpart is working with the services to make sure that we get that information that we need. So I'm very pleased with the progress that we're making and will continue to make with our DoD partners.
Thank you. Well, that takes me to my question for you, Mr. Garcia. As with any technology modernization program, I remain concerned regarding potential vendor lock. The prime contractor at Accenture indicated that it's
Fantastic
used several
segue.
proprietary
As if it was planned
technologies
out.
in a system
What?
which may hamper.
Oh,
the
yeah,
ability
definitely.
to
Yeah.
modify,
I think
upkeep, and
these
enhance
guys
systems.
are actually
Is this
know
concern
what
of
questions are going to
VA?
be asked by their Democrat counterparts. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh, he's looking at his cheat sheet.
Yeah.
There it is.
We suspend the gentlelady's time until you guys get your act together.
Yes, yes, get it.
I'm sorry, sir. He has a hearing aid is not working for him, so he has a hard time hearing the questions.
That is a very reasonable excuse.
So is this IP?
I think it's
Are
a
you prepared to
bullshit
answer the question?
Concerned
excuse.
about the vendor lock and the IP. Yeah, IP.
Intellectual property.
So he's as
Hi,
old
ma'am.
as Methuselah
So
too.
we are working on the intellectual property. Is that the question, ma'am?
On the vendor lock.
Yes, we're working to include that in the
Oh, didn't he have
modification
an
of the
earpiece
contract.
in though?
Yep.
Earlier?
And what steps are you taking?
Yeah, so Mr. Del Bene is very concerned about the intellectual property and how this moves forward. And so part of the negotiations that we're entering with the vendor is how we handle the transition of IP into the VA to ensure that we minimize any impact of vendor lock around the intellectual property and the proprietary software.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you, madam. I now recognize Ms. Ramirez from Illinois for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Van Orden, Chairman Rosendale, Ranking Member Levin, and Ranking Member Sherfilis McCormick for holding today's hearing and reviewing this digital bill program, GI bill program. As you may know, you've probably heard me
hate
talk
her
before
too.
about
She
a bill that I
had a degree
introduced
in
here
women's
in Congress, HR 1767. It's
Ramirez.
the Student Veteran Benefit
Dave.
Restoration Act.
Dave.
This bill, in essence, would restore GI Bill benefits to student veterans who've been defrauded by educational institutions. So as you can imagine, ensuring that the technological upgrades to the system used to administer the GI Bill benefits is really important to me. I want to make sure it works. So this question is for Mr. Garcia. What steps is the VA and relevant departments taking to ensure that when HR 1767, because I'm being positive about it being signed into law, what steps are you taking in the enrollment manager platform to make sure we have the capacity to handle a possible influx in claims?
Yes, ma'am. So part of the efforts that we do is
Oh, we found
legislative
his earpiece.
changes that we need to do. We have a office within Education Service that actually works on that to make sure that we take that new legislation, work with our partners to make sure that's integrated into, for example, the digital Jubby platform moving forward. So that's important that we do.
Got it. And I just want to reiterate, I think you heard it from Chairman Van Orden, you heard it from Ranking Member Levin. I think we all want to see a timeline that we're going to be able to count on in this 5th iteration of the modernization.
I think she's
of the
saying that
program.
so she doesn't
It
look
is critical
stupid
to all of us.
at
So I
this
want to just make sure I say that on record. I have just a few more questions for you, and then I'm going to yield back. Does the VA plan to request increased funding to the Office of Information and Technology for Educational Services? Yes or no?
Is that OIT funding? So Robert, can you answer that?
At this time, we do not plan to ask for additional funding for OIT for this program, and that will be that may change based off any negotiations with the vendor.
Got it. And can the VA say that there will be no processing delays in the future as we wrap up what will be maybe the 5th iteration?
No.
Yes, ma'am. We don't want any more delays.
But will there
I just,
be?
again, I want to reiterate what you heard here
Earrings is,
today. We know
fish
that you're
mowers.
working really hard, and we want to make sure that we have the systems in place to ensure that, above all, we're centering everything we do on our veterans and making sure that they have the resources they need. They're able to process their benefits
hope
as soon as
it is.
possible, and that we don't look back and repeat the same thing we've seen in the past. So I'm going to take your word that you're doing everything in your hands.
You better
ensure
not
that
take
that
his word, bitch.
Summer 2024
You're so
date
stupid.
comes to a concrete date.
Maybe
and
you should
that
let
we can all be
Van
celebrating
Orden
we're moving
mansplain some
forward and we
things
have
for me.
progress. So thank you.
Because
And with
it
that,
actually
I
sounds
yield
smart.
back.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. And I recognize.
Like I said, I
Mr.
wonder if
Self.
she's using them
Oh, here we go.
earrings as fishing
Thank you,
lures.
Mr. Chairman.
Self is from Texas. I just think he's
Mueller,
lonely.
I heard you say earlier about the noble work. VA does noble work.
Ooh.
We're not here today to question the nobleness of your work. We're here to see if we can make it more efficient. Mr. Garcia, you have a very impressive
That was a
resume.
good cut,
20
Self.
years in the Air
I need to
Force.
call Self on that.
Um,
Hold on.
You assume
So I did call Mr. Self's office a couple weeks ago, and I did ask. I was like, "Look, I can't. I'm watching the House committee hearings, and I kind of can't tell what side you're on a little bit, because you're kind of flaking." And I was like, "It's very confusing, and I'm upset. You know, you're supposed to be this big dog Republican." And I guess he took it seriously.
Yeah.
This is why you call your congressmen, critique them. You know, here's the thing. I don't know how I act on this camera unless I go watch a replay. These have time to watch a replay.
They don't.
So help them out. Call them out and say, hey, you were a little bit unclear on this issue. Hey, can you please specify what's going on? But the reality is a lot of you guys don't even watch these things.
Well, if you don't watch them and you don't comment and you don't call them, they just think they can go up there and just play house and everything's okay in the play yard.
Mm.
But
Yep.
when they know that people are watching them and critiquing them, they start paying attention.
Yeah, and he did. And I need to call Mr. Self and say, well done on that critique there. Because he got a little snaggletooth out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was glad to see that.
Got snippy. Had a nice little slight at that person.
Like he means business. So
just like poke. Ha ha.
Good to see that.
I'm a congressman. But
it's good to see that. I can't wait. Let's go, Self. Keep going at it, sir.
leadership just over a year ago, and you've written on leadership, you've taught leadership, and you assumed the leadership of this program almost a year ago. Is that right?
August 1st, yes, sir.
August 1st.
Going on a year.
Going on a year, very close to it. And since you took the leadership of this program, we've come up with this delay. First question is, to what attribute the delay? I may have missed it while I was out on the floor.
Hey, Mama Sally. Kimberly's got something here for you. You might want to check it out.
What is this? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you got to. Good grief. Yeah, these drugs are getting really bad.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Kimberly, we are doing stuff about it, at least in our neighborhood in Houston. We are putting on our first Family Freedom Fest in the heart of human trafficking in the entire United States. Right there in that 2-block radius where we're going, and we're bringing Veterans for Child Rescue to shake shit up.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna have fun. It's gonna have games, but more importantly, it's gonna bring awareness to a growing issue. And the thing is, it's being revealed day by day.
Bring awareness. Everyone's very aware of what's going on. I hate that. I'll be honest with you, Kara. I hate the word awareness. Okay, people fucking know at this point.
They know.
On around them. So
once they got their heads in their sand.
I would like to say, maybe awareness is not what I mean.
We're bringing hope to that community.
We're bringing an example that people can stand up and do something about.
Yeah, to get involved.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. We're bringing solutions. There you go. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, that's better.
I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
So we're going to take care of that here in our community. I highly encourage everyone, get involved in your communities as well. Find something, reach out. I'm pretty sure you have conservative meetings almost every night, and they have all these great organizations coming to speak. Get involved with them.
Change starts at home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Mama Sally gets a little bit involved. Again, thanks again. I just talked to Gilberto about GRAP again, by the way. So huge shout out to Mama Sally on that for getting us in contact with and making solutions happen.
Absolutely.
So let's get back into self here.
Floor, but the bottom line, if you will.
Yes, sir. That's a very good question, sir. Part of the delay is getting it right? We want to make sure, we want to build on the success that I've heard people recognize, do right for our veterans and make good stewards, right? The delay, sir, I think comes down to new information that we got about the runway that we now have. So BDN shut down the Benefit Delivery Network system, was originally going to shut down, be unavailable September of this year. That compressed the time schedule, right? And so now we know it's an extra 2 years of runway. We're able to use that runway to move enrollment manager, for example, for the school certifying officials. That's been a great program, 1.4 million enrollment certifications. It's been a much better program because we moved it to the right. That's an example of how we are trying to make sure we take advantage of the agile capacity with additional runway.
So you talked about it compressed the timeline, and yet
Oh,
then
he's
you have
saying
a
runway.
longer
I
runway.
thought he said
I'm
runaway.
not sure I understand that, and we don't need to go into it. Once you identified the delay, how often do you personally, because we're talking about at least $1 billion program here over the decade, at least $1 billion program. How often do you personally chair meetings to make sure this moves as fast as it can? You personally?
Sir, digital GI Bill is the highest priority for me. It takes up every part of my day. In the governance structure, we have meetings with our partners twice a week. I have their cell phone number. I talk to them nighttime, weekends to make sure this program is moving forward. We set up a project modernization office, PMO, in my office, working directly for me now. That's a change that I made. It wasn't working for me before. The PMO worked for me. I talk to that person daily. So it's a daily effort to move this modernization forward.
Okay, and have you had this large of a project management project before?
I've been involved with projects like this, sir. After I retired to work for a consulting firm, the Pentagon had some modernization projects. I didn't lead them, and I was part of them.
Okay, and what are you going to do? Congress is concerned about the length of time. I don't accept these delays.
Ooh.
Face value.
Ooh.
What are you doing
Self.
to
Ooh,
compress
Mr.
the time,
Self.
to use your expression?
Yes, sir.
Do you just accept your contractor's statement that it's going to take that long? Because leadership, in and of its essence, is to get the most out of the people under you.
Yes, sir, I agree. And I do that for our staff, and I work collaboratively with our vendors to move the program forward. And so I commit to continue doing that.
Do you see any possibility to compress the timeline, to use your phrase?
We want to make sure we do it right, sir. There's a lot of testing that needs to occur. We don't want to be too fast and we want to make sure get their benefits, again, as I got when I was a veteran, that the payments are accurate, for example. So we don't want to speed so much that we get it wrong. So I think we should be deliberate to make sure these major releases that come forward are done right.
Are your
Unacceptable.
contractors working 24/7 on this?
I call them at all hours of the day and night.
The testing, and this
Look
may
at
be
that
for
shitty
one of the other
grin.
gentlemen, is the testing occurring, because this is an IT system, is the testing occurring 24/7?
No.
I think that's right. As we go through test cycles, we have different phases.
Gentlemen's time has expired. We are going to move to a second round of questioning, but before we do so, Mr. Garcia, is your
I really enjoyed Mr. Self this time. I've got to give it to him. Thank you so much, Mr. Self, for actually getting in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate, like I said, I told this Mr. Self before, I appreciate his calm and cool, collected, stance on
And
things.
methodical.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I loved his quote. I love his quote, and that he said, leaderships get the most out of those under you, pretty much. And I would sit there. That brings up another point, Mr. Self, is I'm almost in a way kind of on Mr. Garcia's side a little bit. One,
I'm not.
I'll tell you why. Because he did bring up a point. If the VA as a whole are practicing this CRT, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and diversity hires, how can Mr. Garcia effectively do his job? That's the
He
only
can't.
thing. That's on.
If they're not hiring the best possible people for the job and instead hiring based on race and sexual orientation, then no, he can't be this. There's no way this can be efficient. Doesn't matter if you're the greatest. You could be General Patton in Mr. Garcia's shoes. If you don't have a good group behind you, a good team behind you, you ain't gonna do shit.
And
It
exactly.
starts with the leadership over Garcia's head.
And it's McDonough. That's why I really would like the House Committee of Veteran Affairs to call for impeachment of McDonough. You've already done it with Mayorkas. Call it for McDonough. We have we need to take this up here. I want to thank you guys for your support during this tough week, and please share it with everyone. Hug their kids every day.
Yeah.
Again, guys, our co-host here, Paulie Guns, did lose his daughter recently. Again, keep him in your prayers. And Paul, again, we've talked to you.
My condolences, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reach out to us, whatever you need. We'll be there. It's been a death week.
Yeah, it has. Literally.
These temperatures are absolutely killer.
Yeah,
It's causing a lot of health issues.
Yeah, we're going tomorrow to put our other friend Joe. We're gonna go put him in the Veterans Cemetery tomorrow. Yeah. So it's been a weekend, but our thoughts and prayers are with you. And guys, please keep our good friend Paul Guns in your prayers and everything.
Absolutely.
So, but that's my only, getting back to what I was saying, that's my only thing that I could actually stand with Mr. Garcia on. Mm-hmm. One, he's not allowed to fire anyone. Okay. Two, you have these woke policies enacted by Obama, gone away with Trump, but now they're back. And, he cannot get the most out of the people under him. He just cannot. And then you've got McDonough, who won't sit here and,
It's all about the verbiage. Listen to the verbiage.
But the thing is he had to do this guy, and this is where I say Mr. Garcia is still a piece of shit. All he has to do is sit there and call out McDonough. That's what you have to do. So I'm going to tell you this as a veteran, yourself, you want to pull that veteran card, Garcia, you're a fucking pussy. Call shit out how it is. And
stir some shit up, man.
But you're a freaking coward. That's what I got to say. I understand your situation, but because you won't say it, you're a fucking pussy. That's it.
What if that's what they're trying to coax out of these people? They're trying to work their way up the chain. What if that's what Van Orton's trying to do?
I'm pretty sure that's what he's trying to do. But you know what? Here's the thing. They're too busy sucking on freaking McDonough's cock right now.
Boom. There it is.
All right.
Let's go.
All right, let's go. Throw us back on up there.
Is your hearing augment, is your device working? Okay, I would like to take a brief recess now if you want to work on that, because I really want you to be able to hear what we're saying. Is that all right? All right, we'll take a brief recess. Mr. Garcia, just
20834.
I apologize for this.
Mr. Garcia, that technology was issued to you by this committee, and that is not your fault. That is ours, and that will not happen again. So
ooh, how honorable Van Orden.
We're not cussing. We don't do good stuff either. So what's good for the goose is good.
You need to hear me chew you out, Garcia.
We will proceed now to a second round of questioning.
Hey, damn sure you hear me chew on that fat.
Minutes. Mr. Garcia, previous to this committee hearing, when you guys were informed, I said this earlier, you were informed over a month ago that you were going to come here and sit here. And we didn't get data.
Oh, he's getting mad.
Stuff from you until last.
Look at that head.
So 28 years in the Air Force, did a bunch of other stuff. Were you an officer or an enlisted guy? Were you an officer or an enlisted?
Both 8 years enlisted, 20 years commission.
Okay. What pay grade were you as an enlisted guy? What did you get up to?
E5 after 8 years, and then I got out, became a lieutenant colonel after 20.
Then you went bad. Just kidding. I'm an enlisted guy. Hey, okay, so when you're a lieutenant colonel, if you told your lieutenant or whatever, hey man, we're gonna get together a month from now, and I want you to have pretty much every pertinent document you could think to make sure that your lieutenant will be able to inform me what's going on. And the lieutenant that worked for you, Lieutenant Colonel Garcia, waited until the night before to give you preparatory material. What type of conversation would you have with that lieutenant, Mr. Garcia?
He'd be chewing on that fat.
I normally try and ask what was the situation that led to that first.
You're full of
Bullshit.
Garcia, what is the situation?
Look at
led
that
to
shit in grand.
Give us the pertinent documents that are super duper important for us to find out until 12 hours before a hearing when you were informed 5 weeks ago.
Sir, I'm not sure what document you're referring to.
Well, this thing with all the budget and how much money you spent and everything. The $377,508,587.47, which is approximately 20% of the $1.3 to $1.96 billion you'll be expending of taxpayers' dollars for something that may or may not work.
Sir, if that got to you late, then that's my responsibility. I do accept that.
Thank you very much. So these guys came into my office. We talked about this stuff ahead of time. To the knowledge of this committee, your group of folks that work for you have never reached out to this committee staff. I know you have certainly not.
I love you,
reached out
Chad.
to us any of these things previously, so we could have taken care of some of this and moved the ball forward. So to me, it seems that if the vendor.
Yeah, get that on a t-shirt. Just Chad
proactively
yelling.
reach out to my
budget.
office, and all the chairman of
It's
the
called a
subcommittee, they wanna
budget,
talk through some things
dumbass.
in detail, because I only give myself 5 minutes to talk, and you haven't done it. That's telling me that they're trying and you're not. And that is a factual statement. So I'd like to see you more engaged in this program. My colleague who had to step back to the floor, Mr. Self, is a retired Special Forces colonel. And these things don't fly with us. They don't.
It
So if
means
you're
you show up
responsible,
for work
you
and do
are
your job.
responsible. Mr. Michael, what is included in the next phase of this project? And is the code actually written for the project already? And how long has it been ready, if it is? And what do you think the holdup is to implement this? So is the code written? If it is, right? How long has it been written? And then what's the holdup for getting it going?
Thank you for the question, sir. So the majority of the capabilities for Release 6 are written. It's the next phases will be to test that and then ultimately to deploy that. There are some additional requirements that will likely require development. So there will be some additional code. So that's why I said the majority, sir.
Okay, and when did the majority of this get written? When was it finished so that you could start your testing phase
It was finished in the early spring, sir.
of this year?
Yes, sir.
What's the holdup?
There are a number of dependencies to enable testing. Some of that includes the environments that are necessary for that. So in order to test an application of this type with the complex data.
Has anybody said go?
No.
They were like, go, Mr. Michael, run free. Have they done that?
No,
Nope.
sir, but we
Okay,
certainly
then
continue to make
whoa, whoa, whoa,
progress.
Hold on, I got 35 seconds. So Mr. Michael, who is the person that says go, launch, execute, proceed, sir? Who should be saying, a person, who should be saying that to you? Not an environment or process, blah, blah, blah. Who has to say, hit it, Kyle?
We get approval from Mr. Garcia to move forward with testing.
So we are waiting for Mr. Garcia to tell you to launch something that is already written and paid for. And Mr. Garcia has not told you that yet. Is that correct?
We've certainly had discussions about what's in front of us.
Yes or no answer.
So there's a lot of.
My time has expired. The answer is no. I now yield it back, and I recognize.
Ah!
Gotta love that
Yeah,
deer in the
Thank you,
headlight
sir.
look.
you want to pause that? Oh my gosh. Go off, Mom Sally. I know you got some shit to
Oh
say.
my God.
You gotta love that deer in the headlight look. He's like, I don't know, shit, what are you saying?
So basically,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm supposed to point the finger at the boss?
Yeah. I tell you what, men have turned into the biggest lot of cowards these days. We need John Waynes in Congress, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
I could not believe. You know, here's the thing. I guarantee you that fucker said that behind closed doors. It sounded like it to me.
Yeah.
But when it came to saying it on video and in front of the American people,
That's why he had that deer in the headlight look. He's like, oh shit, we're gonna talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make me throw him under the bus.
But the thing is, does he deserve it? Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
he does.
absolutely does deserve it because he's not doing his job.
Yep. Well, you want to get back at it?
Yeah, we're almost done with this.
Yep.
So,
Let's get at it.
Wanted to relay some questions from students. These are actual questions from students. So hopefully that will
Kimberly,
yield
did you
your
send yours
attention.
in?
One of these questions was, do all school certifying officials have access to enrollment manager, or have there been any issues preventing access? And
no one's
Mr.
asked
Garcia,
that.
you seem to be on the hot spot today, so I'll go with you.
No one's asked that.
Yes, sir.
No
Over
one cares.
15,000 have access to enrollment manager. And those that could not, we try to get, we got in the system. There might have been some ID.me credential issues, but we believe that they are in, that need to get in.
And so there aren't, to your knowledge, there aren't any issues preventing access at this time?
Not that I'm aware of, sirs.
Okay, we'll follow up. We also heard that the enrollment manager might not have the best accessibility for those who are visually impaired. Can you commit to look into that and fix any issues with regard to accessibility?
Yes, sir. We can look into that.
Thank you. And specifically, we're hearing about the inability to, increase the font size and things like that. I'm sure there'll be plenty of follow-up for that. And then third, what is the downtime when enrollment manager shuts down during the typical duty day?
Sir, I'll defer to my OIT person on that, please.
And I'm not aware of downtime for enrollment manager during the daytime, and I would defer to Essentra if there's any additional metrics around downtime.
It's about 4 o'clock that they leave.
I'm not aware of specific downtime associated with enrollment manager. There are certain processes that depend on systems downstream that might be delayed, but that should be.
Oh no, they after
Okay,
4
if we
o'clock,
get you
man,
in
they don't
touch with
pick up their
that
damn phones.
specific person who had the question, can you commit to addressing their concern about this?
Yes, be happy to look into it, sir.
Terrific. I appreciate that. No further questions, and I'll yield back.
I would have had a
I
question.
appreciate it greatly. I now recognize Mr. Rosendale from the great state. Where are you from anyway?
Yeah.
Montana. I know you're from Montana. It's good to have you here.
The Treasure State.
It is the treasure state. Mr. Rosendale.
Thank you all for your patience. Obviously, we all have a lot of things going on. There's business on the floor today I had to participate in, so I'm glad to be back. Thank you very much. This is important work. If the next release happens next summer, next rollout, that represents a 1-year delay in what we've been doing here. Mr. Garcia, we're 2 years into the GGIB program. It's produced significant accomplishments, as I referenced in my opening remarks. But the current struggles are frustrating and baffling. So let's get right down to the root cause of this. What caused the next release to change and to be delayed?
Sir, the next release, release 6, is Empower. That's the financial system that is on the schedule. We do need, as Mr. Michael said, the test environment properly to get that properly tested, make sure it's done right. We have that coming. And so that influenced when that could roll out. But I would commit to the early summertime frame for that next major release of Empower, which is the financial system upgrade.
So, Mr. Michael, let me ask you, what are you waiting for? We just heard that Mr. Garcia has to give you the authority to move forward. So what do you need in order to do your next rollout?
In order to complete the next rollout, we need to have the availability of the test environment that Mr. Garcia just mentioned. We need to have clarity on what requirements are in that release. There's a few additional items to be clarified, and we need to have contractual path to enable that.
Okay, so Mr. Garcia, who do you need to get that information from, and why is it taking so long to get it?
So we put a team together, acquisitions, OIT, in-house and VBA, to figure the best course of action. We have that final decision made. Now we're moving out. Next 30 days, we're going to develop the terms, 30 days to negotiate, and hopefully by early, mid-September, we'll have a contract modified with AFS to continue progressing with the next major release.
So are you saying that there's another contractor involved, or are you going to be negotiating back with Accenture?
Accenture.
Okay, but if you're providing the information, why are you not able to get the information that they need? Where is that coming from in order to authorize them to continue their work?
Well, we need to modify the contract, right? Because then we need to set the priorities, do the deliverables. There's things we want to do with that modified contract that's necessary to trigger the next steps.
Do you have the information that's necessary to deliver that to Mr. Michael right now, Accenture right now, so that you could proceed with this work?
So I believe most of the requirements are done.
So why is it that if you have the information available to you, that you're telling me it's going to take you a year to negotiate a contract and be able to authorize Mr. Michael to do this work?
No, sir, I didn't say it would take a year. I'm saying by September, we'll have the modified contract in place for them to continue with release 6. They can't do it in 2-3 months.
And Mr. Michael,
Why
if you get the
not?
authorization in September to proceed with version 6 rollout, are you saying then it's going to take you until next summer to roll it out? Because of the information I have is it's going to be till next summer. So unless somebody said something in the room while I was gone.
Yes, sir. Certainly depends on the final outcomes, but that's a reasonable time frame given what we know today.
Mr. Michael, how much of the software in the next release is already completed and what's left to do?
The majority is complete.
Okay. So if the majority of the software is completed, I must be missing something. If the majority of the software is completed, you have the information that's available to you, and you just need to finish up a contract. I don't understand why we're talking about next year before this can be rolled out. Somebody please enlighten me.
Bingo.
Mr. Michael.
So there's
Anybody?
When we look at the deployments for the system, there's a small number of windows across the year where we can deploy. If you think about enrollment manager, we want to make sure we're not deploying things during a time of high enrollment.
Okay.
Et cetera. So there's approximately
Deploy
14 out of
it
52
anyway.
weeks of the year that we can deploy. So you take that into consideration. There's also a need to go and test thoroughly, as you heard Mr. Garcia say, and those test cycles are months long. They take a substantial amount of time to make sure that we get this right. So you add those together along with the time to move forward on potentially new requirements. That's for the summer of 2024.
Okay, so
Paper moves fast.
you have
Yeah,
the information
paper,
available.
yeah.
You have the software that's available. You have to have a little bit of time to go ahead and test it, 30 days to test your software out. You say the software is just about complete. And then we're looking at it, we're trying to find a window of time when we don't have a large enrollment, then that would be December, January. You're not having enrollment time. It would seem to me that that would be when we could roll this out. Mr. Chair, I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now recognize
Great, pause this.
Ms. Sherfield.
I have one question. Why in the hell, when they were questioning about the programs, did they not ask, what is the software update time? Because every program, every system does an update.
Except for the
Okay.
VA.
Except for the VA.
VA doesn't.
That if you don't do the updates in regular intervals, then you create a backlog. And if there's something missing and it gets kicked out into the trash tray, it creates a huge traffic jam in the system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my thing is that what I don't understand is that paper worked better.
Yes.
When I went to school, I would drive up to the VA. They'd give me a list of what they needed, go to the school, get what they needed, bring it back to the VA, and I got enrolled right then and there. And then it went, well, you had to get your stuff in before the 15th of that month, and they let you know that, and we did, and boom, it was done.
Right.
So my thing is that we are too reliant on this technology. If the system ain't broke, don't fucking fix it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. They have got to have a downtime. When he said, when does the system shut down? I was fully expecting them to say, when are updates done in the system so that it doesn't create a backlog?
So I don't know that because it's a new program. So it doesn't really need an update yet, is what I'm assuming. But I would say this is that if you're going to test it on a small fucking place in a VA region in Podunk nowhere with community colleges. Why don't you test it out there? Run it for what? A few days. And then hit everybody else.
Yeah. Thing is, and the thing, not even like not the December, January timeframe. Far out, high enrollment period is beginning of fall semester, which is like August, beginning of September. After that, you have the start of the mini semester, which is like beginning October. So you're looking like end of October, beginning of November, when they could roll that shit out.
The semester is in practice. Jesus.
Well,
Everyone's enrolled. Everyone's already there. They're not going to let anybody else in.
Even banks have update times.
So this is what happens in the VA meeting, okay? They sit there, they get their clipboards out, they filibuster. Hi, good morning, how are you doing? Hey, Phil, how's the kids? All that shit. And then
here's a donut, here's a cup of coffee.
They squander their time in there. They don't. Okay.
Hello.
Well, we're up here on this project. We'll see you next week. And that's how they do it. They do it weekly by weekly by weekly. And this is the work that you get done. And bitch, it's simple. Okay. If you want to get this done, boom, pass down update tomorrow. Let's run this like the military. Once you get it done, you pass it up. Once you get it, and then you have a meeting every fucking morning on it. And they don't. They do it week by week. You can hear it in the verse. They just saunter. I'm here. I'm a lieutenant, retired officer, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to drink my cup of coffee and
collect my paycheck.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're going to let some unqualified freaking underwater basket weavers freaking take care of this stuff. And then it's like when you have a good guy in the VA that's saying, hey, let's do our job. Hey, let's do this and do this and do this. What do? They take the good guy, they punish them and put them on the loading bay. That's what they do. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And
if I did shit like that, I wouldn't have a job.
Well, I tell you what is the punishment system in the VA. They move you to positions you weren't even hired to do. They're a freaking dictatorship.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people get in trouble because they offend somebody, not because they actually did something wrong.
They have computer programmers in the VA working the loading bays because they asked too many goddamn questions.
Remember that one guy who spoke up at Morgan Luttrell from the IT?
Yeah.
There was only one guy, in his department. Yeah. That's Michael E. DeBakey, one of the largest vision networks, second largest vision network in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. And only one guy working on it. So, yeah, it's the upper echelons. And Mr. Garcia.
Well, you got to have somebody to do the updates, to process the pending transactions. I mean, banks even have a time when they process a pending transaction.
They probably use agencies, Mama Sally.
Yeah.
I mean, because they do it with VA claims. So.
Well, I didn't hear any of them asking any of these questions.
Well, that's because the system's not in place yet.
Well, that's part of the damn problem, is they can't get their shit together and
Well,
get
then
it in
that's it.
place.
You can't update something that isn't there yet. An update requires some time to update. And
Yeah.
they can't do that until it's installed. And it's not going to be installed, it sounds like, till next year. And then even that, it's going to be delayed until the next election cycle. And the next election cycle.
Yeah, but by the time they get it installed, it's going to need a damn update.
That's exactly what it is. Because if they delay our care, then we can be used as political pawns.
Yeah.
And that's what Van Orden, Morgan Luttrell, Rosendale, Miss Mace. I saw Miss Mason there earlier. That's what they're trying to do, is prevent us from being political pawns. Actually, I see a Morgan staffer over there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right.
All right,
Let's go
let's
ahead
get
and
it back
finish
at
this
it.
up.
Ms. McCormick for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We all are aware that the GI Bill benefits change periodically as Congress provides for new benefits. In the past, we've seen technology delays or otherwise create problems in the delivery of these benefits. Mr. Garcia, how can the VA ensure that the new system is as future-proof as possible?
Always got to cheat now.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Where's the damn
Oh,
earphone
he
at?
lost his
How do we
freaking
how do
earphone
we
again.
ensure future
He's
proof?
doing that on purpose, bitch.
How do you define future proof?
Making sure that we're avoided the obstacles and the pitfalls from the past.
Just run your question over there and let him read it.
Avoiding obstacles. Yes, ma'am. I think that goes back to the governance structure that we have in place with the right people at the right time. We meet constantly. Again, OIT, other players at this table. The governance structure is very important, right? It's the oversight from senior
You don't
levels.
do any
and then
oversight. You don't
program
fire
governance
anybody.
is occurring. The PMO office that works for me also ensures the oversight that we continue moving forward. So it's governance and the PM office that we are increasing the
And I
staffing for.
hate this woman.
Yeah.
My question then is for Mr. Orifici. What specific steps are being taken and organizational and technologically to ensure longevity?
Yes, so thank you for that question. A
You
big
know,
part of
he's
what we
really
are trying to do
so
is
gay.
eliminate the
Yeah.
22
Sounds like
legacy
he takes
systems
something to
that
the face.
supported
Yeah.
education benefits at the start of this process.
Well, his
To date,
name's Oral
we have
Feces
eliminated
for a
2.
reason.
And we
He
have
eats
plans
ass.
over the course of this bill over the course of this effort to modernize all or decommission all but 2 of the systems that currently support education system and move them onto this modern platform.
I'm still
And
stuck
so
on
all
dirt.
of the systems
Yeah.
that support education service will be on
Mr.
modern
Good
technology.
Sir.
They'll no longer be sitting on 50-year-old COBOL programs. And so in that effort, we should be able to continue to modernize and keep the systems current with today's technology.
Thank you. Mr. Mueller, other technology modernization efforts at the VA have struggled with change management and communication. Has MITRE or the VA measured the success of these functions in the digital GI Bill program? If so, how was it measured?
So we have not measured the functions, but we are supporting the PMO in that space to develop organizational change and stakeholder engagement plans.
Are you using
He's
any
quaking.
variables to measure success?
Can't even
So we'll be
talk.
developing those measures as the PMO continues to mature.
And as of right now, do you know what variables you might consider in and what's the delivery date for those variables?
I'll take that back and get back.
My
So
next question for you
Democrats
then
can
is,
virtue
where
signal.
are the lessons
God.
learned regarding change management or communication that can
Because Miss
be
McCormick needs
So
to
at MITRE,
women's
we
play.
actually
Yeah.
have an innovation center that's focused on this space and they work across our sponsor base, across the federal government. We bring those lessons learned when we develop the plans that we work with the sponsor, with the VA on, and that's how we bring that information back.
And what are a few of those lessons learned specifically?
I would have to get back to you to get specifics, but proactive engagement, I would start with that. Proactive engagement, constant communication.
Okay, and so as we're moving forward, what was that delivery date? Because we want to make sure that we have full implementation, success, and that we're measuring what's going forward. Do you know when you'll have those variables and those lessons learned
I'll have
compiled
to
and
get
put
back
together?
to you on the specifics.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you, ma'am. We will proceed to a third round of questioning, and I recognize myself for 5 minutes. Mr. Michael, there's 14 out of 52 weeks where you can implement this. Is this correct?
Optimal weeks for deployment, sir, yes.
Right on. Do you have those like blocked off on a calendar?
We do have versions of calendars for that.
Have you given a copy of that to Mr. Garcia?
We have a roadmap, but it's probably not identified clearly. We could share.
Okay,
that.
let's solve some problems here. Let's pretend like we're all enlisted people still. Sorry, Mr. Garcia. I want you to get a calendar. I want you to block off 14 out of the 52 weeks where you can implement this, and I want you to hand deliver to Mr. Garcia. Mr. Garcia, that's going to help you narrow down so you can answer my ranking member's question. Put your finger on this, and I want to know when it's going to happen, because this is, again, completely unacceptable. Are you familiar with the POANM? Did you guys use that in the Air Force? Did you? You know what that stands for? Plans of actions and milestones. It's the way that you mission plan so that you can kill terrorists, because your guys are trained and women are trained and equipped and they're ready to go. You have the plans and actions of milestones developed for this program, which is going to cost over $1 billion gazillion. I don't even know how much money it's going to cost. Do you have a written plan of action and milestone? Do you?
Sir, it's in the integrated master schedule for the releases.
So if you have an integrated master schedule, either you've been disingenuous with its schedule, because if you have a schedule, sir, that means that you have a calendar. If you have a calendar, you have dates on it. We keep harping on this. Okay. If you have time, Kyle, I would appreciate it. 14 weeks out of 52, use a highlighter, hand them to that dude. And Mr. Garcia, I want you to put your finger weeks for us. And I want you to give it to this guy and to me. And we're not doing this anymore. We're not doing bureaucratic gobbledygook and all that. We're not doing that. So veterans risk their lives for us, as you did. They have earned these education benefits. They're not a gift. They will be able to exercise them, and they're not going to have to worry about paying their rent because your 40-year-old antiquated system doesn't work and you can't tell me when the new one's going to come in. This is unacceptable, and it will not be tolerated.
Yes!
Mr. Garcia, it is you.
Thank
It's not the Veterans Administration. It's not a process or an organization. It is you as an individual, and I respect your service as a lieutenant colonel. You're a Mustang, so we call them in the Navy. So I respect that. But with that respect comes responsibility, and you are responsible.
Yes!
And with responsibility comes
yeah.
accountability, and we're holding you accountable today. Is that crystal clear, Mr. Garcia?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir, it is.
I appreciate that greatly.
Ah, that's delicious.
Mr. Mueller.
Earpiece on for that?
Oh, it didn't have to be, because Van Orden just ripped him a new ear hole. Oh my goodness. So yeah.
Yes!
So
Yes!
basically, Van Orden just learned about the integrated master schedule that everybody at Veterans Affairs has.
Oh, wow.
And this is like
That
the entire
apparently
thing
he
he's
didn't
been
have a fucking clue about.
Yeah, because apparently this is what he's been harping on this entire hearing. He's like, if you got a schedule, you got a calendar. If you got a calendar, you got dates. And that's the only thing I've been asking for this entire time is a damn date.
Well, I mean, this is just a sad example here. You see
Yeah.
this right here? This is a load map of my stops, of my freight. It has a date on it that I have to deliver. I had 3 stops. I had 3 different stores. Guess what? I had to go through and double check every damn thing just to make sure the store got their freight. That's accountability, people. I'm accountable for it. Why the hell can our government officials not be held accountable for their damn actions as well?
Because government programs are so nuanced
think-
these days, Mama
I
Sally.
think every one of these motherfuckers should be
Hold
issued-
them motherfuckers accountable for every damn thing they do.
I tell you what this should be. Every employee is required to carry a planner Here, go grab your planner.
You have no business.
We
I agree,
have
Chad.
our
I agree, Chad.
schedule.
You have no business doing
Our
this shit
schedule.
if you can't hold to a schedule.
Yep, our schedule here, our planner is so jam-packed of events that we have to do or things we have to go to. And we have so many notes, you know, of things that we have to do in a day. You know, and here's the thing. We do this for free. Okay. We call our congressmen, we call our senators, we meet with people daily and plan things to help our veteran community, and we don't get paid. We don't make money on this podcast. We've never asked for money. And you know what? These guys get paid, and we're more organized because we care about our country. And I believe that every single VA employee should have a logbook that is an official document of what they do every single day, and it should be written down. That way we could FOIA that.
You see this? This is my logbook right here. It tells you everything I do every freaking day. Every second I work. Why the hell can they not get their computer systems to update the same way this little bastard does every night at midnight so that it uploads everything that I've done?
Yeah.
If I've stopped to go pee, if I stop to deliver a load, if I stop to get a load, if I go to sleep, it's logged. Why can they not do the same thing? That's the accountability they hold us to.
Yeah, because it's rules.
And we don't have as much responsibility.
Because we're the serfs.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm feeding America. I'm moving their food, their clothes.
You're feeding Mr. Garcia's fat ass.
Yeah, that's true.
My fat ass too. Well, let's get back into this.
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys are really quiet. I'm sorry. I guess, I don't know if you're happy or not that you're not getting drilled. I don't know. It's on either side of the fence. Mr. Mueller, in 2018, one of the recommendations of your company was made to ensure the success of this project, which clearly has not been successful, was that the VA appoint a specific person, like by name, one person, one-stop shop, who would be held accountable to shepherd this project, to champion it. Was that recommendation taken on board?
Thank you for the question. Specific to that 2018 ITA recommendation, that was for the Forever GI Bill implementation.
Yeah.
It was taken. It was identified as the Undersecretary of Benefits at the time.
Who was that?
That was Dr. Paul Lawrence.
Where'd Paul go?
Well, no, so that was the previous Forever GI Bill Comeri implementation. For the digital GI Bill, the accountable official is Mr. Garcia.
Yeah,
All
you
roads
think?
lead to Garcia.
And as I stated in my oral testimony, those recommendations were acted on
Okay,
and carried through into the current modernization program.
very well. Mr.
He just
Garcia,
threw
I
him under
believe
the
that we have
bus.
come to common accord, and I have presented my commander's intent. And I understand that you get what that means. And again, I respect your service tremendously. So I appreciate the fact that you've decided to continue serving our nation. I just want you to step up this game because all the answers are there. Okay, finger on calendar, please. I'd appreciate that greatly. With that, I yield back and I recognize my ranking member, Mr. Levin, for 5 minutes.
Thank the chairman
Mr.
again. And
Elmer
promises my
Bud
last question for
Garcia,
you.
you're
There
fired.
might be one that we'll have to revisit in future.
I think it's time for him to
meetings.
retire. I'm pretty sure he will after
January
this.
of 2022, the House passed with a broad bipartisan vote the GI Bill parity legislation for Guard and Reserve. And as we're contemplating your timeline and your plan, which I know you're going to provide to us after this back and forth, are you contemplating the possibility that we may be adding Guard and Reserve eligibility? And if so, are you incorporating that into your thinking at all about the flexibility of more people that are all of a sudden going to be eligible for these benefits?
Sir, we'll take a look at anybody who's eligible, that comes eligible, but I have to take that back and get that information to you.
So in the last Congress, we passed it in the House pretty overwhelmingly, and then we ran out, the clock ran out with our friends in the Senate. And we're just going to try again. It wasn't for a lack of interest or lack of bipartisan agreement. The devil's always in the details on these things, but I think there's a reasonable possibility that in this Congress, next Congress, who knows, that is going to happen, and we are going to see Guard and Reserve that are eligible. I think we learned a lot in the process, and we're going to come back and hopefully get that across the finish line. I just want to make sure you guys are prepared if there are all of a sudden a lot more people who are eligible, that your system can handle it. Is that fair?
Well, they ain't even
Yes, sir,
prepared
we prepared.
now.
All right. And again, I appreciate all that you're doing, and we look forward to seeing those timelines from you. I'll go back.
Thank you, Ranking Member. I now recognize Chairman Rosendale from the great state of Montana.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Garcia and Mr. Michael, what does delaying the next release to the summer of 2024 do to the future releases 7, 8, and 9, both time and cost? If you could give me a quick summary, what we could expect. Mr. Michael first, and then Mr. Garcia, I'll hear your estimate. Time and cost with the delay, 7, 8, and
Oh, no, go.
Okay.
Moving release 6, there's a degree of critical path, so we need to analyze what can happen for future releases 7, 8, and 9. They will likely also need to move from current schedule.
So that was stating the obvious, okay? So I know that. So what kind of time are we talking about?
Oh my
Without
goodness.
additional input from the VA on what the scope is and how we want to address the dependencies, it's hard for me to speculate on that, sir.
So you couldn't even estimate the time or cost on that. So we're right now scheduled to have this project. The rollouts are supposed to be completed by the end of 24. Am I correct there? Okay. So if we're not going to have version 6 rolled out until next summer, then clearly 7, 8, 9 aren't going to be able to be rolled out until 25 or later, 26.
So our
Because
grades
they
are
have to have freaking updates.
As I said,
Are you telling me that there's any realistic possibility that they would be able to be rolled out after the summer of 24, 7, 8, and 9?
So we're looking at options to try to pull back pieces where it makes sense, but also recognize that a number of those are going to be dependent upon completing release 6 and getting final inputs from the VA.
Understood. If the VA gave you everything that you requested, are you telling me that there's any potential that you would be able to roll those out by the end of next year?
Not in their entirety.
Okay. Mr. Garcia, tell me, version 6 isn't going to roll out until next summer. What do you think time and cost-wise this is going to end up taking to complete this project?
So I agree with Mr.
2030.
Michael. The schedule will be dependent on certain actions occurring first. I think the first commitment is that release 6 for the summer. 7, 8, 9 will follow that. I can't give you that time schedule right now. As far as the cost, Miner will produce the life cycle cost estimate that will address that additional cost and provide that to you accordingly.
So are we, both of you, do you believe, let's say we go beyond the time, because I think that we're stating the obvious again. You're not going to be able to get this work completed by the end of 24 unless something miraculous happens. So the window of cost is somewhere between 1.3 and 1.9 billion.
So we're going to get shitty grades.
Can I at least get a commitment that you will not be coming back to this room and saying, we ran out of time and we ran out of money?
That's exactly what
The
they're going to do.
Undersecretary is committed to not coming back for additional funding.
Okay. It doesn't make me sleep well, but I guess that's what we have right now. Mr. Michael, is it true that the project will not be completed before your contract is slated to expire?
Our contract has multiple option years out to, I believe, 2029.
He's defrauding the government.
2030. So I'm not sure that that's a true statement, sir.
Is it broken out to the actual
Didn't you say
implementation
2030,
and
Mom
the
Sally?
operation and maintenance? Are those
2030.
provisions in there? So the 2029 is probably the operation and maintenance cost, I would assume?
It is, sir.
Okay, so do we have provisions in there that are going to end before you have the rollout completed? Because the rollout's not going to be completed by the end of next year. We're kidding ourselves. So does your contract call for the version 789? Is that portion of the contract going to expire at the end of next year?
I'd have to take this for action, sir, and get you more detail. I don't believe that there's details at that level within the contract. And I think
Okay.
the modification.
So we're going to need a copy of that so that we can see exactly how this is going to be able to proceed.
A full
Okay, I'm down
digital
with that.
rollout by
Seconds here.
2030.
Ms. Garcia, the next DGIB release is on track for 1 year delay. The project won't produce any new capability for an entire year. Do you think that's not going to produce any?
We'll continue with other things besides the major releases, automation efforts that we've been talking about, other minor releases that occur, and the planning that will be in place along with testing to make sure that we will continue with those major releases in the future. So it's not that we're stopping, we're continuing to make progress.
Okay. I yield back, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Anyone believe that
Thank you, Mr.
bullshit?
Chairman.
Hell no.
I'd just like to make a couple closing remarks here.
Okay.
I want to thank you all for coming. I appreciate it greatly. Mr. Garcia, not a great afternoon for you. I appreciate that.
Get your calendar,
I want
man.
you guys
Get
to
your
come back here
calendar.
and I want to have a great day together. That's what I want. The sole intent of this subcommittee, the reason we exist in Congress, is to make sure that our veterans receive the benefits that they earned. And they're not going to do that unless you step up your game. It's not going to happen. I expect you to be more proactive with us. And I'm telling you, if we don't get the answers that we want in a timely manner, I will subpoena you. And I will bring you here and I'll call CNN and we'll shine bright lights right in your eyes.
Do it now.
And it will be a very bad day.
Now you're going to
I
use the
do not wanna
Communist
do
News
that.
Network on them, huh?
But I will, because it ain't about me or you, or Mr. Levin or Rosendale or anybody else here. It's about the person that does their time in the military, risk their lives, they leave their family, they want to better themselves and become a productive member of society, just as they were a productive member of the military. And they do that through education, because education is the only way that you can free the mind, and you know that. So we're going to get this done. And we're going to get it done with you, or we're going to get rid of you. And we're going to find somebody else to do it, because it has to.
Yay!
It is not an option. All right. So I yield back, and I'd like my ranking member, recognize him if you have any closing comments.
All of that.
Chairman Rosendale, do you have any closing comments?
Just look, thank you all for coming in. This is one system that started off really well, and we just want to make sure it finishes well. That's all. We just want to make sure it finishes well. Let's not drop the ball at this point. Let's keep this thing going.
That sumbitch is already
Well,
bouncing.
I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material without objection. So ordered. This hearing is adjourned.
All right.
Boom, it's over. I tell you what, I think my favorite person, I like my congressman, but my favorite person is Van Orden.
Van Orden.
Rosendale's probably number 2.
Derek Van Orden, man. He is something.
He's great. He's a shark. And that's what we need in that committee. I'm very
That's
proud
what
of
we
him.
need in branches of government. Somebody who's actually looking out after everyone's best behalf.
And if I can make a suggestion, don't call CNN. Call Tommy's Garage. They got more viewers.
Exactly.
And they probably do it for
Yeah.
less money, too.
They'll probably do it for free.
Communist News Network, I've been calling them that for years.
Yep. Well, guys.
But, it's looking at the 2030 deadline, I believe.
Oh, yeah. That magical
good.
number, the
That
2030.
keeps popping up. Oh, my word. What is going to happen in 2030? Same thing is going to happen.
Full
Supposed to happen in
digital
2029.
rollout.
Yep.
All right,
Well,
guys.
guys and gals, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Mama Sally from Truck It. Y'all can check them out. They run on Tuesdays.
We will be back this week.
Yes.
Right on.
I know our schedule's been kind of funky. We will be doing Logbook Redacted at 9:30.
9:30 Friday nights. Be there or be weird, I guess. So,
Square. We are going to continue doing our investigations here with the House Committee of Veteran Affairs and showing even Senate Committee of Veteran Affairs. Any breaking news will probably be on Sundays. We will not be doing that on Saturday nights anymore. We also will be starting up interviewing people and interviewing our veterans in a couple weeks again. It's been real crazy. And so we'll probably have about 3 shows to 4 shows, including Truck It, on our network. So, guys,
Awesome.
Thank you guys for coming in. And Mama Sally, you're always welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I enjoy being here. And, you know, just remember, folks, sometimes in life, you just got to say, truck it and get the job done.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys again, and good night. Have a great week.